During this series, we have talked about multiple aspects of future of work. Now, future of work is not just impacting large multinational organizations or big corporations. In fact, the real essence of the change is actually manifesting itself in the smaller enterprises, promoter driven companies, medium enterprises, enterprises that are rooted in smaller cities, rural areas, and so on and so forth. So today, it's a very different take on future of work. And the guest that I have with me is a very, very special person, Mr. Kishan Gupta, and I fondly treat him as my elder brother. He's been a source of inspiration to many, but he's the managing director and founder of Organic Wellness, one of the leading organic wellness products companies, not only in this country, but across the region. If I start looking at the awards and accolades that his enterprise has gathered, it'll eat all our time. So I'll not get into that. But really thankful to you, Kishanji, today. What we are seeing is that a large population of this country and many countries across Asia Pacific are employed by the small and medium enterprises. Uh, as we have seen that in the recent times, much has changed in the field of work and the world of work. So as we are getting into this future of work, what are some of the changes that you are witnessing at two levels? One, what are the changes, Kishanji, that you are seeing at the worker level? People who work in your kind of companies, and of course, then how are you seeing yourself as an organization changing and adapting?
Now, let me first of all thank you, Shagun Bhai, for your invite, and it's a pleasure and honor always to be with you, be it any session sharing at different forum or even today. Now, to answer your question on the first part, you and many people get surprised when I say I really don't find much of a difference between what we were doing or what my employees or my team members were doing before COVID or currently during the COVID. It's a big surprise to people because everyone seems to be impacted hugely. Maybe for me, the benefit is I have a plant in the remotest village of our country, which is in Bundelkhand called Village Babai. For me, yes, during the COVID era when the lockdown was there, the production of the plant was not allowed. That is obvious reason people were at home and they were not, allowed to operate. But as things started opening up, I was also a bit worried. यार गांव में हूँ कैसे होगा because I am not able to travel all the way over there or for various reasons. So I was certainly worried about it. But let me tell you that the moment plant was given the approval to operate, government officials came and approved the plant and the workers to start operating and the team over there. I don't see even a word of COVID being talked about, any challenges or issues. Yes, the normal hygiene, what we were following pre-COVID area, during the COVID era is being followed as such, be it, using the mask or the cap or the sanitizer, that was part of the system as such of my hygiene in the company, right?
Mhm.
So, and psychologically, I'm coming to the more important aspect now. I thought psychologically people will be impacted, affected in the remote village over there. But maybe the kind of products what we make, and my team is used to taking them on a regular basis, as I say again, pre-COVID and post-COVID both. When they are in the factory, they are as such taking my tulsi teas or cinnamon cleanse or ashwagandha, so giloy. These capsules are part of their normal routine life. And touch wood, so far, I haven't heard any challenges, any such health
So this
issues
is this is very
within my team as well as within the families of the team members.
very interesting. So then, in a way, it is a blessed situation that when you are working with nature and you are working in wellness, the first benefit comes to yourself and your employees.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that.
Now, if we look at macro industry, of course, there are multiple changes that may not have hit your enterprise or your industry, but clearly some patterns are changing, and what we are witnessing is that the way people look at work is changing. Now we are talking about remote working, different kinds of working arrangements, and so on. So from a relatively smaller or a medium enterprise perspective, how do you think these changes that we are talking about in the large corporate are impacting, organizations that are in your kind of ecosystem?
Personal, my take on this is more driven by the fear. Okay, yes, the challenges are there, but it's the fear psychosis which is there in the mind of the people. My personal view is, as things slow down, as things, COVID issues get slowed down, move out, my view is, again I'll repeat, things have to come back to the normal, because for a short time sitting at home, working from home, they are all fine, possible, and people feel it's a new normal. But according to me, this world has gone through much worse, challenges, and has come to normal situations much faster. And for a simple reason, I can tell you, even today, when you're sitting in the worst of the situation, the share market is booming. It is all-time high in US. It is booming even in India as of today as we talk. So if you really look at overall scenario, my personal take on it is, yes, there is a lot of fear there. Big organizations have their own fear, which I don't want to dwell into it. Everyone knows very well about that. But my take on it is, short term, yes, sitting from home, work from home is fine. It may not look like many challenges, but if it continues for a longer time, there will be much more challenges than one faces while operating from offices or from the corporate level.
Indeed. And since you've talked about share markets being at all-time high and how the economics of income is working, one of the things we found out in the study that we conducted around this generation R, or how people are resetting themselves, we found that a large majority of people now want to create multiple sources of income, even when they are employed with some organizations. What is your take on this, and how do you see this trend will emerge in the next few years?
Let me tell you from my company's perspective. We already give an opportunity for an employee or a team member to have multiple sources of income. How? A, there is a fixed salary which a person gets. B, there is a monthly incentive which every team member is, able to make. And number three, they're also able to have a ownership or a percentage of a profitability at the end of the year. That's the continuous way of making sure they have a multiple way of making money. Not only that, we have a very special way of having internal recruitment system, where if a person brings in a person, as a team member in the company, we pay the same money what we would really pay to a headhunter. Okay, so there are processes, checks and balances set up in our company which are giving opportunity to a person to generate multiple sources of income. That's the one part of it. Now, coming to the other perspective, I would be very upfront. If you meet people on one-to-one basis, many people already do part-time jobs apart from their normal jobs what they are doing. The challenge is, if there is no conflict of interest between what a person is doing in an organization, then I don't see any challenges going forward if it is done in a professional, in a proper way. For example, if my team member working for a company like ours, tomorrow he is part-time on weekend using his time without impacting my business in an area which is not related to me at all, he is more than welcome to generate extra income, because that really is none of my concern till he is giving his best to the organization.
That's interesting, because increasingly people are waking up to this reality that it's okay till the time there is no conflict of interest, and B, the person is delivering the output or outcome that he or she is expected to deliver at work. Now that opens another discussion around values and ethics, right? Because this has some moral bearing. And you and I were earlier also talking about how having socially responsible enterprise enterprise that is contributing to the society. And you are one example of this. And I see all the awards in your office around the social impact that you have created. Going forward, what do you think about the social responsibility of businesses, the impact that you will create, and therefore how these things will impact businesses?
My personal take, Shakun Bhai, on this is, even for my company, Organic Wellness, if I did not had a purpose or a cause behind what I'm doing, I don't see we would have progressed to whatever level, little level we have come so far. Even when I interact with my team members, I see a spark in their eyes when they see a purpose behind everything what we are doing. From team members, let me go to the customers or the distributors when I meet them. First and foremost, the question mark is, are you really doing it? That's a big question mark. The moment they are clear that here is a person who has really gone to the remotest village, there is a proof which they really see, and it's going on from last many years. I'm telling you, the cost of acquiring that customer, the cost of getting the loyalty of that customer forever is much lower than the marketing spend I would have to do to acquire that customer, and maybe I'll never have that loyalty forever. Also, personally, I'm talking out of my personal experience, having worked in big organizations in India and across the world. Today, I never feel I'm working because there's a purpose behind what I'm doing. It's more about a passion. It's not about 9 to 5. It's more from 24 by 7, and still excited and passionate because everything is working with a purpose and a cause. So my personal take is, future belongs to those companies, especially the new entrepreneurs or the new companies who want to come into the picture. Certainly a business with a purpose, a cause, a mission, which customers can relate very easily, certainly are going to be successful.
So now tell me, large enterprises spend a lot of money, a lot of energy, and they get professionals to inculcate this mission and vision in organizations, communicate about it, and get employees excited about it. How can promoter-driven organization create this sense, a joint sense of purpose and mission in their employees, who could be very different in terms of their socioeconomic backgrounds?
I'll tell you again out of my personal experience. I may feel I'm a owner, I'm smart, but my personal belief is the so-called, a person who is not even 10th educated, staying in the remotest village, I can tell you, Shakun, he is much smarter than me. That's what my personal belief is. They can read you. They can watch you very closely with, are you walking the talk? Are you really doing what you're saying? And for me, it has become very, very easy. The reason is, I'm in the remotest village of the country. I've set up a beautiful modern plant over there. And I don't have any relatives, senior managers, my close chums running the plant over there. It's 100% local villagers. Above all, initially 2 years I was stationed myself over there. And today, these, my friends, they run the plant independently. And I don't have a CCTV camera also in my in the campus. I'm sitting in Gurgaon. The plant is run by unknown, if I can use the word to have a clarity in the mind of the people. They are unknown. They are not related to me in any aspect. From the blood relation I'm talking. Yes, they are my team members. They are related to me. And they do the best job you can think about it.
So tell me, yes, you don't even have a CCTV, which is actually very good and heartening. But what role do you see technology playing going forward in running your kind of businesses?
Let me tell you, without technology, I wouldn't be where I am. I'll give you a very small example. We have some machines imported from different countries, and the so-called my team members over there. There's a problem in the machine. What do you do? The same people, they are so smart. They talk on a video calling on a WhatsApp with the engineer overseas. Okay, the guy doesn't know their Bundelkhandi language. They don't know the foreign language, whichever language it is, and it works. So certainly, whether it's a fast internet or technology in many aspects, certainly is playing a role. The team member, I'll tell you again a wonderful example. The first time when I handed over a laptop in my company over there, the person whom I thought he is more educated, let me hand over the laptop to him. He did not take the laptop home for a few days. I said, भाई क्या हो गया, तुम घर क्यों नहीं ले जा रहे थे? बोलता सर रात में चलने लगेगा तो क्या होगा? So that was the kind of innocence we were living at. And now the same guy is working on softwares. He's the guy who makes Excel sheets. He's the one who's communicating on emails internationally. So certainly, whatever little technology we use in the system over there, without which it will almost be impossible, if I can use the word, to really operate the plant systematically, properly, and the kind of data transmission happens over cloud, all those things which my team does with the factory. Certainly, technology has a big role to play, and going forward, I'm sure we'll be using it more effectively and efficiently.
That's very interesting and heartening to see how people are learning and growing with the times. So tell me, you've created one of the best known brands around organic wellness, and you have hundreds of products now sold across the globe. What is your advice and message to the entrepreneurs, specifically as they are trying to navigate into this world that we are calling the future of work world?
My take is very simple. Don't get into the business just to make money. Money should be the byproduct. There has to be a purpose. There has to be a cause which you are, supporting or solving. For example, in our case, I'll tell you, Shagun bhai. Now, tier 3 and tier 4 cities of our country, they are ready to open organic wellness stores.
Now, that's I only that during the lockdown, you expanded into some tier 2 and tier 3 cities of the country.
And now we are talking of 5,000 such women entrepreneurs across India. Now, even opening stores, there's a purpose behind that. This is women entrepreneurs who are smart, educated, but for some reason, they were not able to show their talent to the world, and they are coming forward. So my in short take to the friends or the entrepreneurs who want to get into this side of the challenges, get into it. It's a wonderful journey, but please be ready. It's 6 to 11 at least. That's what I do on a daily basis. I don't know what is Monday, what is Sunday, but at the end of the day, I'm still passionate, I'm still energetic, and future is amazingly bright. Not only for me, but everyone who is associated with me, from the mother earth to the farmers to the customers to the distributors to the environment as a whole.
Wonderful. I think that's a very interesting parting note, Kishan bhai, that future is very, very bright no matter what. And I also love the fact that you said that there have been bigger crises that mankind and the world of business has seen. So there is nothing to worry about. I'm sure everybody listening to this will find it very, very inspirational. And on your behalf, I invite everybody to reach out to you, because I know that personally you are a very, very welcoming person and a very, very helpful one. So once again, thanks for sharing your perspectives, and stay connected. Keep on doing the wonderful work that you are doing with the wonderful purpose that you have for your business.
Thank you so much, Shagun bhai. Just being with you as always.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.